All right, welcome in. Episode 106 of the Sports Information Podcast with host Hop Hopkins. Tonight we have a great show planned for you guys. Super concise, to the point. Hopefully it's our best one yet. So real quick, here's what missed the show. Still got no NBA. That's coming in either 2 or 3 more episodes, TBD. No politics. This is a sports information show, not a mass media show. We don't talk about just anything on the show, all right? And then we are also, for the first time, not doing must-see TV picks for the week. I always forget to check. I always forget to circle back to it in each episode. I'm not doing them. Shout out Hanover Sports, Hanover men's soccer beat Transylvania University in the semifinals here at home. And then Anderson actually upset Rose-Hulman. So we're hosting the championship on Saturday for men's soccer, HCAC championship. It's going to be awesome. And it was an absolute thriller of a win, too. We won with 4 seconds left on the clock. Shout out Clayton Anderson. Kid buried a shot. Upper deck. Fucking last second. It was awesome. And then also, congrats to Hanover women's soccer on an awesome season. And thank you for letting me be a part of it. It was special to watch. Shout out the seniors. Right into the A block. Let's go. 13-2 in week 9 picks. Holla at me. Again, watch the show. Make your picks accordingly. And thank me later. Talk to me in January. See me in February. It'll be great. It'll be awesome. Anyway, 2 games we missed. Thursday night football. The Jets beat the Texans. C.J. Stroud made some bad decisions. He went 11 of 30, 191 yards passing, 0 touchdowns, no interceptions. Joe Mixon got across for a touchdown. And Aaron Rodgers, a lot of you guys you're waiting for it. Oh, let's hear it. He had a good game, right? He had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Vintage Aaron Rodgers. 211 yards, bro. Chill out. He did look good, though. It was one of his better games this season. I'll give you that. And Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers looked like they were on the same page all night long. You know, that extra week of practice together was great. Garrett Wilson is feeling the benefit of having Devontae Adams across the line, or down the line from him, rather, and pulling away some of that defensive pressure. I mean, 9 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns for Garrett Wilson. It was a great game for the Jets and their fan base. I'm happy for you guys. That might be one of your only, 5-6 wins this season. Congrats. You beat a good Texans team who is now 6-3 after losing that game. That's all I got for you. Aaron Rodgers had a good game. He's still not good this year. And the Jets won a game. They're still a bad football team, and they're still ranked accordingly across all the major sports media websites, major sports and football outlets. So, pump the brakes. Saints at Panthers. Lost that one. Saints lost by 1. I had them beating the Panthers. Both teams are now 2-7. They're in that division, scrapping for last place. It's awesome. Derek Carr, also not a good quarterback. So, but the Panthers don't have a good quarterback either. It wasn't like I was, picking way out of the realm of possibilities when I said Saints over Panthers. I mean, they were favored after all. Anyway, wasn't Carolina. We went perfect the rest of the way. Commanders over Giants, Bills over Dolphins, Chargers over Browns. That was easy. Titans over Patriots. That one wasn't so easy, but we got it. Falcons over Cowboys. Cowboys played kind of decent. Bengals over Raiders. That was awesome. I was in Cincy. You guys are great tailgates. Cincy, you do it very well. Ravens over Broncos. Never a doubt. Cardinals over Bears. So, technically, I didn't say it on air. Whoa, sorry. I didn't say it on air, but I thought it in my head, so I'm counting it. It was a game that I was like, it's a hard one. Let me circle back to it. Nah, the Cardinals won by 20. And then Eagles over Jags. Yep. Seahawks losing to the Rams. Saw that one coming in Seattle. And then Lions over Packers. That was a hard one, but we said it. Vikings over Colts. I was scared when I went back to watch the film on what my picks were. I was like, dang it, please don't tell me I made that pick with my heart. I couldn't remember who I had in that game on Sunday Night Football. Fortunately, I made the right pick and went with Minnesota because they did win the game. And then, of course, on Monday Night Football, of course the Chiefs went 8-0 because how could they not, right? Patrick Mahomes also not throwing for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. You know, he played good, played well, ish. I don't know. He played a little tough on that foot, but he also kind of made it seem like he was way more injured than he was. So I'm not. Yeah. But the Chiefs, again, just being so scary because when one side of the ball is not playing well, when the offense doesn't play well, the defense carries them to 6-0, 7-0. When the defense starts falling behind, the offense starts clicking with a guy they just traded for in DeAndre Hopkins, and I don't get it. They're just winning football games, and it looks like they're practicing during the regular season against real NFL teams, and that's scary. So, moving on, though, Week 10 predictions, flying. Tomorrow, Thursday night football, or tonight for you guys, rather, but tomorrow from when I'm recording this. 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, Cincinnati Bengals go to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Divisional game. The Ravens are 6-point favorites here. Oh, man. A 6-point divisional favorite is insane. I will take the Ravens to win the game outright. So, but 6 points is a lot. All my irresponsible friends out there, be careful with that one, okay? But the Ravens are going to beat Cincinnati at home, and they'll be 2-0 against the Bengals this season, and they should win the division, no problem, after taking care of the Steelers later on in the year. I think they still have to play the Steelers twice, do they not? Let me double check on that. Ravens schedule. Bada boom, bada bing. Nope, show me the rest of it, please. Okay. Yeah, they haven't played the Steelers yet. So they've still got 2 more games. A game in Pittsburgh. Oh, that's next week. That's next Sunday. That's awesome. Anyway, Sunday night football this week, or Sunday morning football, rather, 9:30 a.m. Another overseas game. It's going to be great. New York Giants. It's not going to be great. New York Giants take on the Panthers in, where is that game? I don't know, somewhere in Europe. I won't be waking up early to watch that one. Maybe I will. Malik Neighbors is pretty special. You know what? Give me the Giants. Give me the Giants. They're 6.5-point favorites. Wow. Give me the Giants. All right. We're taking 2 favorites so far. Buffalo Bills in Indianapolis. Oh, man. I told my head coach he's going to be in Indy recruiting this weekend. I told him he's got to go to that game. He's got to go watch Josh Allen play football. Yeah, the Bills are going to win. Bills are going to win that game. And then Falcons take on the Saints. Turns out the Giants and Ravens is in, or Giants and Ravens, Giants and Panthers is in Munich, Germany. Another Germany game. So apparently we hate Germany. Oh, that's right, because I remember all the memes on the internet, and it was like, what did Germany do to deserve this matchup for their one football game or whatever? It's like, you know what you did. And it's a pretty funny meme. So anyway, back to the Falcons at Saints. Give me the Falcons, of course. Kirk Cousins. Now, riddle me this. Okay. The Ravens are, well, I mean, it's because they throttle bad defenses and the Bengals have bad defense. But the Bengals have a good offense and the Ravens' defense isn't great either. How are the Ravens a 6-point divisional game favorite? How are the Giants a 6.5-point favorite over anyone? I don't care if it's the Panthers. But the Falcons are only 3.5-point favorites over the Saints. Make it make sense. Doesn't. But we're rocking with the favorites. We're picking 4 favorites out the gates. Falcons are going to beat the Saints. Vikings at Jags, another favorite. We're going to take the Vikings to win that. Steelers at Commanders. I love this one. Sunday afternoon football. Mike Tomlin. Dog in the game. This is going to be awesome. Because that Commanders offense can be electric. We've seen it all year long. But that Steelers defense is nasty. And that offense is scrappy, even with Russell Wilson, who I think is a certified bum. I get it, the wins or whatever this year suggest otherwise. I don't care, bro. Go watch him play football. He's got a couple vintage Russ moments. But it's the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Like, you're going to have some vintage moments. You're a future Hall of Famer. And Russ is a fringe future Hall of Famer, probably leaning more in the Hall of Fame than not. And Aaron Rodgers is stamped. Best, top 5 quarterback of my lifetime, for sure. I get it. But right now is what I'm talking about, guys. I'm talking about football in the year of 2024 when I'm giving these takes, okay? If we're doing the all-time takes, I'll make it very clear. And I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game despite my opinions on Russ and despite how great I think the Commanders' offense has been this year, because I think the Steelers just play too tough a brand of football. Now, the Commanders did just get Marshon Lattimore, so their secondary should be better. I don't think it's going to be that much better. All they got to do is stop George Pickens, per se. But if Freiermuth has a good game, if they can get the ball moving down the field with Najee Harris, if they need to bring in Justin Fields and run a couple QB design runs, they can, triple option or double option, whatever it is, can, So I'm going to take the Steelers there. That's going to be one of my dog picks of the week. And then moving on to Broncos at Chiefs, spent a little bit too much time on that last one. Chiefs are obviously going to slaughter the Broncos. Don't even talk about it. Patriots at Bears. I think the Bears win that game by 8 points, let alone 6. 49ers at Bucks. Give me the Niners. The Bucks have been killed with injuries. They just lost a brutal overtime game to the Chiefs in Monday Night Football. So they're coming off a shorter week, but not a super short week. The Niners have got a little bit of rest, and CMC might be back this week. Update, he's not feeling any pain in practices this week. So it's likely he's back, but, I wouldn't count on it. Give me the Niners there. Titans at Chargers. Give me the Chargers. I don't think that game will be too close. Eagles in Dallas. Wow. Give me the Eagles. That's not going to be a pretty game for Cowboys fans. Jets at Arizona. This is a 1-point game either way. Neither team is favored to win the game. Ooh. Man. I feel like, you know what? I'm fading the Jets every week. I'll live and die. I only have 9 losses on the year. I'm 51-9 overall. Give me Arizona. Give me Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison at home. James Conner might have 120 yards. The Detroit Lions in Houston, Texas. Give me the Lions for Sunday Night Football. Monday, November 11th, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time, the Miami Dolphins are taking a trip to Los Angeles to take on Matt Stafford and the Rams, who I think look as good as anybody on offense when they're healthy, with Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and old reliable Matty Staff throwing the ball. They're also only a 1-point favorite. Man. The Dolphins might be due, man. The Dolphins might be due. And sometimes, guys, picks aren't based on numbers. It's just based on reality of you're due for a win, right? Dolphins might be due here. I don't know if that's going to be enough for me to pick them. But Tua's back. He's spinning the ball. They just lost by 1 point to the Cardinals. A-Chain almost had 100 yards on 10 carries. Tyreek Hill's had 72 yards. How long has it been? Weeks. Almost months probably since Tyreek's had 100 yards. When was Tyreek's last 100-yard game? Let's find that out real quick. I got it, though. Tyreek Hill stats. Let's check him out this year. His last 100-yard game was September 8th against the Jags. Oh, my gosh, week 1. Give me the Dolphins. Give me the Dolphins in week 10. Can I get I can't because you don't in the real world, so you can't on the Sports Information Show. But I was going to ask for a pass on if Tua gets injured, can that pick be changed to the Rams? No, it can't, because I wouldn't change it if the Rams receivers got injured again. But Tua is way more likely to get injured than maybe any other human playing football right now. Give me the Dolphins still. All right, A-plus player of the week, which, by the way, last week I picked Josh Allen. Recap that real quick. And he had a good game. He had, where was he? Give me it. Give me the Bills game. Here it is. He had 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He also did not cross the 300-yard mark. What is it with these super... Man, that's bad for my Aaron Rodgers takes, but I'm dying on the hill. 235 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 25 completions on 39 attempts. Again, not A-plus player of the week numbers, okay? I'm willing to admit that I was wrong, guys. he had an Aaron Rodgers week. My bad. Sorry. I'm not going to be right on A-plus player of the week every time. But when I pick Lamar, I've pretty much been right every time because that man balling this year. So I said vintage Josh Allen game, or not vintage, just Superman Josh Allen game. I think that was my verbatim quote from last week. Superman Josh Allen game. 3 touchdowns is pretty Superman-esque, but the 235 yards ain't really Superman. So, yeah. I'll give him the same grade I would give Aaron Rodgers. He got the win, and theirs was over a divisional opponent, and it was over a rusty Tua who only missed 3 passes. Wow. That's awesome. All right, moving on to this week's A-plus player of the week in Week 10. I really like Lamar. Like I just said, every week I pick him, he balls out against this bad Bengals defense tomorrow on Thursday Night Football. I also really like Justin Jefferson to ball out against the Jaguars. The Jaguars have a bad defense. Might have one of the worst, maybe the worst defense in football. I don't know. I would have to look deeper at some of those numbers, but when I watch them play football, my eyes and brain start to think that they're the worst. Yeah, just go ahead and give me Lamar. Yeah, that's a terrible Cincinnati Bengals defense. It's in Baltimore. I don't know though. Derrick Henry might steal the show, but give me Lamar. Give me Lamar. We're gonna run with it. Okay, producer questions. Let's start with number 1. Fire away.
I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I asked you about the biggest receiver trades that we saw from that week. So it was D-Hop and the Chiefs, Devontae Adams and the Jets, and Amari Cooper and the Bills.
Yes.
After a few games under their belts, who do you think's performed the best, and who do you think's given their team that extra spark?
DeAndre Hopkins might be the reason that the Chiefs won the game the other night, seeing as he had 2 touchdowns in their overtime win. Now, he didn't have the overtime winning touchdown, but did he? I don't think he did. Anyway, I can't believe I can't remember that. So D-Hop certainly has had the most impact. He's coming and helping win 2 games right away. Devontae Adams obviously has had a tremendous impact as he's opened up a ton of opportunities for Garrett Wilson. He's bringing a lot of coverage his way instead of in the direction of Wilson, and he's still able to make plays and have a week like we just talked about where he's got 8 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown in the win. They're 1-1 with him. It took that first week he didn't really get going at all that he was in New York. Amari Cooper hasn't helped the Bills too much at all. Did he even have a touchdown this last week? Josh Allen threw 3 of them, so you would hope. I didn't look, though. No. Amari Cooper didn't even play last week. So, yeah, he's out of the conversation for that. I would say D-Hop. And the Chiefs needed that. They needed that help desperately. I think that Devontae Adams, the Jets, I don't know that they needed Devontae Adams. He certainly helps, clearly, but I don't know that they needed him. So, yeah, D-Hop.
It's fair. A little on the defensive end. Well, you touched on it a little bit with Marshon Lattimore, but obviously him getting traded to the Commanders. Do you think this gives him a little bit more of a realistic shot in the playoffs?
Say that again.
Marshon Lattimore to the Commanders. Do you think it gives him a little more realistic shot in the playoffs?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you have to say yes because they're, like I said a minute ago, their secondary is actually abysmal. I mean, let's just go. Pass defense rankings. NFL. I don't want teamrankings.com. I don't know what that is. Give me NFL.com. Seems credible. Anyway, Who's allowed the most passing yards this year? The Ravens have terrible. Yeah, then the Jags, like I said, bad defense. The Commanders, 1,700. Okay, they're not as bad as maybe I thought. Yeah, I don't know. Is that right? They've only allowed 1,700 yards. That's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's like 11th or 12th in the league. Crazy. I don't know, but yeah, it certainly helps him. It doesn't hurt him. Marshon Lattimore's a great player. Sorry for that little dead space there, guys, where I was trying to count, but man, yeah, it obviously helps him. That is blowing my mind right there. We got to move on from that. My brain doesn't like that. It's not computing because every wide receiver one has been balling out on the Commanders this year.
Fair enough.
So
Even
eye test ain't there. Anyway.
Okay,
next.
moving on.
Yeah.
Just Dallas. Like, what are you doing? I can't wrap my head around it. Like, at what cost?
I mean, this is what happens when you don't pay your players at the time that you should. You know, whether it's before the contract expires, 1 or 2 years before that, I don't care. But get it done before markets reset, before other players of their position get paid, and especially other players that are either perceived as valuable as your asset or lower of value than your asset, but are still getting paid higher than what you're currently negotiating, right? Like the Trevor Lawrence contract. You can't make the argument that Trevor Lawrence should be making more money than Dak Prescott. You just can't. And I'm a Trevor Lawrence borderline stan, but I'm not delusional about him. I know that he's not playing the best football this year. He's started to play better, but I'm gonna be objective. So I don't know what Dallas is doing because they waited to pay CD. They waited to pay Dak.
They should have had Derrick Henry.
Man, yeah. Jerry Jones is what's wrong with Dallas. Jerry Jones and maybe Mike McCarthy. I haven't watched enough Cowboys football this year to be judging Mike McCarthy's coaching. So I can only say maybe there because I know he's definitely got a history of questionable calls from game to game. So front office / owner, and Jerry Jones maybe isn't the worst owner, but he's certainly a terrible GM these days. And they've got to hope and pray that he either steps down or something forces him to stop being the GM. I don't know, man. Cowboys are just
abysmal.
SOL, as you would say. Next.
Very much so. They're up the creek without the paddle. Just like the Saints, which is my next segue.
Let's go.
They fired head coach Dennis Allen. They started, as hot as you could, 2-0, put up, over 80 points in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Beat the snot out of the Panthers.
Yep.
And then they've been on this 0-7 skid.
Mm-hmm.
Lost to the Panthers this past week. Like I said, they killed them in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the second time that Dennis Allen has been fired as a head coach with Derek Carr as his quarterback. Obviously, once in with the Raiders and now here with the Saints.
Oh, yeah.
And, just an off-topic question with it and kind of out of left field. Like, do you think it's harder to fire your coach and continue to win mid-season or trade your QB1 for a different guy and keep your head coach and try and win?
Wow, I like that. I think it's probably harder to trade the quarterback and win because at the end of the day, he's the one out there spinning the ball for you. And
True.
Half the time, those quarterbacks are calling plays at the line anyway.
Yeah.
Changing it up, right? And we've seen teams like the Raiders last year. They got hot after they fired, or not last year, maybe it was 2 years ago. I think it was last year, though. When they got hot after firing their coach because the locker room was just better, right? Sometimes it's the coach really bringing you down. Now, you can also say that some teams can either turn it around for the same reasons, getting rid of a bad quarterback, right? Like the Browns winning a game or playing better after Jameis Winston comes in, right, with backups. But that wasn't a trade. That wasn't bringing in a total new guy. Jameis Winston knows the system. He knows the playbook, right? So that's
Still
a little
got guys out there that have been catching passes from him all year.
right, and he's been in that locker room all year, so he knows the team. Like, it's just different. So I'm gonna say that it's way harder to trade your quarterback away and bring in someone new than it is to bring in a new head coach after firing him. But I will say this about the Saints. Here's why they've not started, like, they've had bad football games since their first 2 games, because they played the Panthers in game 1, who are, we know, the worst team in the league. Then the Saints beat the Cowboys in week 2, who we know are a bad football team this year. The Cowboys, bad. And what did we say about the Saints? For the most part, they beat bad football teams. In this case, they beat really bad football teams, because they've also played some bad football teams this year, like the Panthers again, really bad football team, and lost. They played the Broncos, who I always say a bad football team, and they lost. So, and it's because of Derek Carr. Derek Carr's not it. I'm not in on Derek Carr. I've always been questionable. I've got some friends, Dallas, he's super in on Derek Carr, or has been in the past. I don't know if he still is. And I know some people in the media. I don't know him personally, obviously, but, like, I've seen it. They think that Derek Carr can be a at least league average quarterback, maybe better. I'm like, I don't think that guy's got it. He plays a little too up and down for me. So
I think that might be the case, but I also, like, as a GM, as an owner, history repeats itself. Like, how have you not seen that? And seen, like, oh, he was playing with this guy, a couple years ago, and obviously it didn't work out. So why is it a good idea to hire this guy? Like, you think somebody's doing a background check. Like, that's a red flag for me.
yeah, and for anybody out there who wants to say, Derek Carr's been struggling because his receivers keep getting injured or are out. Why are his receivers out? Why do they keep getting injured? All right, next.
Another wide receiver trade.
Okay.
Mike Tomlin and the Steelers making some moves, adding Mike Williams from the Jets, and they got Preston Smith from the Packers. So how do you think this affects their end-of-season outlook?
Okay, so I peeped this question on your notebook earlier by accident. So this is why I kind of gaslit the audience earlier by saying, when I was picking the Steelers, I was like, all that Marshon Lattimore has to do is lock down George Pickens. Nope, they got Mike Williams.
You bamboozled me. I thought you totally forgot.
No, I knew it. They got Mike Williams, and I think Mike Williams is going to look to make a statement in his first game with the Steelers. I think he's going to look to make a statement the rest of the year, for the way that Aaron Rodgers kind of just, and the Jets, for that matter, just wrote him off for having a couple bad games and certainly a couple bad drops. I'll admit, he's a receiver. He's got to catch those balls. That's what he gets paid to do. But I think that the Steelers made a really sharp move there, because Mike Williams, just a season ago, was balling out in Los Angeles for the Chargers with Herbert. Not that Russell Wilson or Justin Wilson are what Herbert is, but the numbers suggest that they're better for this year. So giving him another really solid number 2 option, if not like one of the better number 2 options when he's healthy and playing well. And Mike Williams, I mean, I love it. I think the Steelers are just on a roll this year, and playing wise, and making a sharp move before the trade deadline like that is only going to help.
I think it's going to help George Pickens as well. And
in a close race in your division with the Ravens, yeah, like, you have to make a move like that at the deadline. And yeah, I mean, that's an awesome move by Pittsburgh's front office.
Mike Tomlin's a dog.
I'm not out on Mike Williams.
All right, moving on.
Okay.
We were watching the end of the Bucs and the Chiefs game.
Mm-hmm.
Bucs coach Todd Bowles opted to try their luck for overtime against the undefeated Chiefs and arguably the best player in all of football.
Yeah.
And they stayed that way, undefeated. Ended up winning 30-24 in OT. If you're Todd Bowles, what do you do? Like, we talked about it a little bit, I know, but I wanted to bring it up just to get your thoughts and argue about it a little bit.
So I conversed with a couple friends. I obviously watched every sports media show ever between Monday Night Football and now. And I just don't know who I agree with or what even my own opinion on the matter is. I don't know what you do there. And that is what happens when I don't even know if Todd Bowles knew what to do there. I think obviously you just had to make a decision and go with it, but I don't know if he knew what the right move was because, like you just said, you're playing against the undefeated 2-time Super Bowl defending champs, best player, best coach, best maybe defense in the league, and like obviously best team in the league. What do you do there? It's different than the Ravens game from week 1 where Isaiah Likely caught a touchdown at the end of the ball game, the very end of the ball game, and there's no time on the clock. You either go for 2 and win it or you kick a field goal and go to overtime, right? There's no chance of Mahomes getting the ball back unless it goes to overtime. So, like, you might as well go for the win there in week 1. That's a little different. There's time on the clock. So whether you go for 2 or you tie it up, the Chiefs still get the ball with 3 timeouts left, 27 seconds, something like that left on the clock in the fourth quarter. I think 4-4 or 4-3, whatever, 3-4, whatever they were at the time, the Bucks. You go for it, man. You're the underdog. You're not supposed to be in a position to win this game anyway because you're so injured and you're up against the Chiefs. Go for the win, man. You got nothing to lose other than the game, and you were going to lose by 2, and you lost it anyway. So I think you go for 2. I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's the right call because tying it up, right? Now it's overtime if the Chiefs turn the ball over or if they don't, if they're unable to drive down the field in 27 seconds with their timeouts, it's going to overtime if they would have turned the ball over. Like if Mahomes throws a pick, the Chiefs defense makes big stops in those moments. We talked about it last week. They always do. So, and it would have went to overtime. The Chiefs played a little conservative because it was tied, and they punted it away, and the Bucks got the ball back, and then it went to overtime. But if you go for 2 there and you score and you're up, Mahomes is down, and he's obviously going to play a lot more aggressive. And with those 3 timeouts, and all 4 downs at his disposal, I don't know. So maybe going for 1 and not going for 2, and tying it up. Maybe that was Todd Bowles' way of not waking up the beast that is Patrick Mahomes trailing in the final seconds of a fourth quarter, and he always finds a way to win. Maybe that was his way of all right, if we can win the coin toss, we'll win. But also, I think you had a better chance of getting that 2-point conversion than you did I think you had over 50% chance of converting that. I don't know though. I did just say the Chiefs always make big stops, so I don't know. I don't know what the right. Holy man, yeah, I'm still in the same boat I was in after the game. I don't know what the right call is there, and that's why I'm not an NFL head coach.
It's fair.
So yeah, sorry guys. The sports information director has no answer for you there. 0.
All right, moving on again. A little head coach roundup. Which head coaches have impressed you the most, and which has left you with kind of a little sour taste in your mouth? Or if you want to do top 3 that you like and top 3 that you aren't impressed with.
Okay. Real quick, sorry to the audience if that last segment or that last question was a headache for you. I know I didn't finish a lot of those thoughts, but that's how hard of a question that is to answer in my brain. Head coach I'm most impressed with. I mean, man. That's tough. Because Shane Steichen impresses me week after week in Indianapolis. I love it. Love watching that man do what he does on the sideline with my football team. But Mike Tomlin is on a tear this year, man. They're 6-2. That's 75% win rate. That's crazy. That's crazy.
We'll shout out Harbaugh in Los Angeles, though. I mean, in his first year, doing pretty good things, in my opinion.
He's doing decent. I mean, he's got him at 5-3, but I mean, the Chargers are kind of front runners. Really, they're not a playoff team by any means. They're not good enough to win that division, not even close, right? So, and how much credit do you get for beating up on the Broncos and the Raiders?
A little bit, in my eyes.
Okay.
It's year one. I mean, you got a winning record.
It's year one.
Almost
okay.
halfway through the season.
So their wins this year, though, they've beat the Raiders. They've beat the Panthers. Lost to the Steelers, lost to the Chiefs. They've beat the Broncos. They lost to the Cardinals. They beat the Saints. They beat the Browns. And that's it.
Okay, maybe
So
I was mistaken.
they've beaten really bad football teams.
I could have sworn there were some better teams in there.
But it's the NFL. Harbaugh has been coaching college. So it is impressive to see what he's doing. And especially with the lack of weapons, per se. However, he's also beaten up on some bad teams. So there's that. I think Dan Campbell is just awesome. I love what he's doing in Detroit this year. So I'm going to give the nod to Dan Campbell, and then I'm going to go Mike Tomlin. Love those two. I think they're awesome. The Steelers are way better than anyone thought they were going to be this year at 6-2 right now, leading the division, the hardest division in football, we might add. So, yeah, he gets the nod, and I'm a big fan of 7-1 in Detroit, and they've played a rougher schedule this year as well. Coaches I'm not impressed with, man. Part of this is due to injury, but Tua didn't miss that many games. So I'm going to say I am not impressed with Mike McDaniels in Miami this year, sitting at 2-6, tied for last place. Well, just above last place just above the last place 2-7 Patriots in the AFC East there. Not impressed with him, and I am not impressed with Doug Peterson and the Jaguars at all. Obviously, we're not impressed by Mike McCarthy. I think Nick Sirianni in Philadelphia, I don't care that you're 6-2. I think you're a fraud. I think the Eagles are fraudulent. And Nick Sirianni just makes bad football calls. He makes bad calls in-game all the time. He wins because he has great athletes on that roster like Saquon Barkley, like A.J. Brown, like Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith. In the past, he's had Jason Kelsey. That's why that man wins football games. Nick Sirianni does not help his team win football games. All right, rant over. And we're also not impressed by Matt Eberflus. You've got the number 1 overall pick figured out, dude. That's what the people want. Next.
Fair enough. Last one.
Let's rock.
Bengals obviously follow Burrow's arm.
Okay.
En route to that 5-touchdown performance.
Oh, yeah.
41-24 over the Raiders. Talked about it a little bit earlier, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But they're sitting at 4-5.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they keep finding success, or do you think, they fall off the track a little bit?
So, looking at the rest of their schedule here.
I mean, obviously the big test is Baltimore this week.
Yeah, sure. Right? Which they're going to lose. It's Thursday Night Football, primetime game. Defense is bad. And it's in Baltimore against maybe the best offense in football. So that's a loss. Then they've got a tough game against the Chargers in Los Angeles. The Chargers have been beating bad football teams this year. The Bengals can look like a very bad football team, especially when T. Higgins isn't out there and it's just easy to double Jamar and then there's no other person to catch the ball. So if T. Higgins is still out with this injury, man, or this nagging hamstring, whatever it is, so annoying as a fantasy manager, by the way. I don't know how you beat that Chargers team. And I know I just said they're front runners and they're not, they're not the best football team, but they're not a terrible football team, obviously. Anyway, so that toss-up, called a toss-up. They're not beating the Steelers. I don't care that it's in Cincy. It's not happening. They could beat the Cowboys. They should. So they've got at least one more win, 2 more wins because they play the Titans. I'll give them 4 more guaranteed wins because they've got the Cowboys, the Titans, the Browns, and the Broncos. And then the Chargers as a toss-up. But here's what I will say. So 4 easier teams, 4 bad football teams, and a toss-up with the Chargers. 4 of those games will be won. One of those losses is more likely to come against a Cowboys, Titans, Browns, or Broncos. But they could also be 3-2. So not 4 guaranteed wins. I just talked myself out of that real quick. That's awesome. Yeah, I would say they're probably guaranteed to win 3 more games because they're the Bengals and they have that electric offense, and T. Higgins hasn't been out every game. He's just missed time here and there. But again, because you don't know if he's going to play or not, you got to be weary picking him. So they play the Steelers twice, though, 2 more times. So they've got at least 3 guaranteed losses as well because the Ravens coming up and then 2 more Steelers games. And that Browns game could be tough. It's in Cincy, though, so it shouldn't be. But, all right. That's all I got for you. We're at 21 subscribers. Continue to like, share, and subscribe, please. Please, please, please. If you're my friend and you disagree with one of my takes, put it in the comments. Don't text me. That's super lame. Need the traction, need the interactions. And I appreciate all of you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week for Week 11.